All right, here we are. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Thanksgiving. This is our last live before Thanksgiving. How are
Yep.
we feeling?
Good. I'm not full yet.
Doing okay.
Everyone ready to go?
I'm actually not at all. I'm ready for
We're-
Christmas stuff. I'm not ready for Thanksgiving.
We're going to talk about being full and how full we're supposed to be and questions like that. But before we do, let me say this. Right now, or not right now, on Friday, our Black Friday sales begins. And now it begins at I think 12:01 a.m. Is that correct? On
Correct.
Friday? Okay. So the staff will be monitoring the phones starting at midnight. Please feel free to call in. No,
No.
they will not be. It's okay to wait until the morning of, but lowest prices that we're ever going to have, really.
Yes.
We're actually raising our prices going into next year. This
Mhm.
is a great time to start a program because whatever you lose now, you can add 8 pounds to it. But there are people who will never, ever even consider the prospect of starting during the holidays. For you people, this is a great time to buy because you're going to do it anyway. No one wants to go into the new year fat and ugly.
What are you saying?
I certainly don't. I'm going to do a program. So don't be fat and ugly. Can I say that?
No, probably not. You definitely offended a lot of people. No, I'm just kidding.
No, only the fat and ugly ones.
only
but
the
listen.
fat ugly ones. Okay.
Okay.
Ugliness is an inside job. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Only people who are ugly on the inside, none of whom are our actual clients. But listen, a lot of people are going to be starting, new year, new you, tabula rasa, blank slate, all that stuff. It's a good time to start. We wait all year just so we can start anew, don't we? So if you're going to do that, you might as well pay up to half price off. Okay?
Yeah.
It's like up to half price off. So you don't want to miss out on that. Now, here's the other thing. Here's the twist. Every good story has a twist. The twist is this. Our emphasis for 2023 is going to be on getting it off and keeping it off.
Yes.
And towards that end, we have created an amazing new maintenance program that is easy to execute. Yeah, I know. We're not. It's kind of a hush hush thing, isn't it? Yeah, we're not
It's not
releasing it. It's
available
not
till
being released
January.
yet. Yeah. But I'm telling you, you have the opportunity. If you're watching right now, if you're a thin texter, if you're a Nutrimonster, if you've lost weight and gained weight, which everyone has during the pandemic, there is actually the opportunity now to keep the weight off with our help, with our amazing new maintenance program. So you don't want to miss out on that either. What we are trying to do is to encourage everybody to get to their goal weight by April 1st. And this way you can maintain. Huh?
Can I say it? Come
Say
on.
what? April Fool's Day? Don't be a fool. We're no fools. So you're going to see some foolish April Fool's comment.
I pity the fool who doesn't get to where they need to be.
Hey,
She's been dying to say that.
Joe wants to hear
New
more.
Jen. New Jen.
You can't hear more, Joe, because we're not actually talking about it yet. But I just want everyone to gear up for the new year and the possibility. Joe, by the way, I mean, listen, your wife raves about you. She's probably friskier than maybe you want her to be at this point in your marriage. I don't know. Wait, I did it again. What is up with me this morning?
Frisky. So
What'd you say?
I said he's Italian. He wants frisky.
Hey, I don't know that we can make that kind of generalization, but Joe looks absolutely amazing. Joe, I'm going to show off about you just a little bit without too many details. But you told me that you haven't weighed this. You haven't been at this weight until you were in your early 20s. He said, "Don't we wish?" Since you were in your early 20s, rather. I got distracted by that. Which is unbelievable. Imagine being at possibly your healthiest weight ever, your healthiest you ever at your age. Joe, how old are you? I can't say it in public, but you can. How old are you? How much have you lost? All right, we'll wait, Joe.
While he's texting, let's not forget to give a shout out to his wife who looks
Yeah.
Yeah,
amazing.
that's why
Unbelievable.
he had to do it. He had to keep up. She was about to trade him in for a younger model.
So she's going to trade you in for 2 30-year-olds.
He had to. He had no choice. He didn't want to lose weight. He had to. That was going to be it.
She looks
Well,
amazing.
can I just touch on what Dr. R
Thank you.
said?
Please. Yeah, go ahead.
So now, coming to, we said, okay, now this new program, and we did a slight little teaser. We can't give you any more information, but the truth is, yes, it's not available till January. For us going forward, when we always say like, oh, this is going to be my year, just like it's going to be this Monday when I start, or this is going to be my summer. No, really. So 2023 will absolutely be the year. Like, this is the year that you want to get healthy. If we learned anything in the past 3-ish years, which I even hate to say that it's been that long, but health is everything. And it really does start inside out. So if you are dead serious in wanting to reach your goals, get closer to them than you've ever been, and do it and not regret it. Nobody's ever regretted trying hard. Nobody has ever regretted feeling good. This is that opportunity. So in all seriousness, mark your calendars, take advantage of it. Prices for our detox programs, our weight loss programs will never be this low again. So if you're not on the list, call now. This is that whole crazy Larry scheme, but it's very true.
So we're gonna move forward, but we should mention this again. If we don't mention this several times, then we're engaging in malpractice. But I'm gonna mention something. You said something, Jackie. Look, I'm waving my hand like an idiot in front of the.
Hi.
I can't make hand gestures right in front of the camera. But I'm gonna say something, and Jen is going to appreciate this. Jackie said the last 3 years, and this, by the way, is not even what we're supposed to be talking about yet, but I have to. I'm sorry. The last 3 years, we learned, or at least we should have learned, that health is everything, and that is absolutely correct. There's a great quote that I'm going to totally butcher, but it's like something like, when health is absent, wealth is worthless, and relationships don't matter as much. And I mean, obviously, health needs to be the foundation. Now, I have been upset, PO'd, disgusted by what's going on with health in this country from the top down. We don't have a message of health. We don't have health care. We don't emphasize health. We don't do health. It reminds me, years ago, I had a friend. Her sister at like 19 was diagnosed with some rare disease, and she was going to die, basically. Her doctors told her there was nothing they could do. And she went the quote unquote alternative route, right? The alternative route means she looked to build health from the inside.
Right.
She did that with various means, chiropractic and herbal remedies and what have you. And she was able to turn it around. She's still alive today. And that was, 40 years ago. Or
Amazing.
maybe not that long ago, but yes, amazing. And she then went back to her original doctor and she said, "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" And he said, "We don't do that."
Yeah.
Basically, they don't do health.
Yeah. They do disease management.
They do disease management, which is fine and necessary. But you would think that as a result of the pandemic, the message of health would have gotten out. The people who are the most vulnerable are the ones who are not with us, for the most part. There are obviously exceptions, right? But yet, it's not. It's an opposite message. People have gotten less healthy. People have gotten fatter. People have become more reliant on their medical doctors, who they cannot get in touch with. They have to wait 3 months for a telehealth session.
True.
So I just wanted to express that. I'm going to let Jen comment on it because I know she has thoughts also. I don't want to go too deep into this. I don't want to beat up too many people. I have personal feelings about this, and I was just in a mood to express them. So, Jen, you're one who likes to express yourself. What do you have to say?
I'm just going to take a back seat and let what you said stand. However,
I'm biting my tongue.
I'm not a medical doctor. I am somebody who likes to keep my general overall health in a good place by good food and good nutrition. And I personally, in my household, do a lot of really good health building supplements, which is what we got in when it started to spin out of control. I immediately jumped ahead of the curve and started ordering certain supplements that I know have kept my family healthy through the years. And in this house, one person has had COVID. We didn't really stay in, and we just kept boosting immunity. So I think it's crucial that we take our own responsibility for our own health and wellness into our hands. That's not to say that Western medicine doesn't have a place. You break an arm, you go get it set by an orthopedic doctor.
Mhm.
There are certain things. In the past, I used to say even appendicitis needed to be handled by a medical doctor, but I'm learning so much more about that, which is a whole other topic. But overall, I think that we have abdicated personal responsibility when it comes to health and wellness. We've pushed it off on the so-called authorities, who are really just practicing medicine, and we are being patient while they practice on us. That's not to say that that is all of their missions, but I think that we have been fed a lot of nonsense about what our bodies are capable of or not. And I think that we are much, much more able to heal with the proper conditions for our body, so we don't get better by continuing to do what got us sick. So things like, chiropractic and acupuncture and all those alternative healing modalities are actually just practices that allow optimal conditions for your body to thrive in.
Correct.
Good. I'm
Right.
done.
That's it. Yeah. Optimal conditions that make pathology less likely, conditions that make it hostile for pathology and allow for health to flow. But it does start out with personal responsibility, with an understanding of cause, right? And just the right mindset. All right. Any other comments about that before we move on to what we were supposed to talk about?
Joe said excellent, and that he's 61 and lost 80 pounds this time, but 120 overall. Like,
Yes.
amazing.
He's been incredibly persistent.
Yeah.
Now when he turns to the side, he disappears. You can't tell the difference between him and a fashion model. So it's really nice to see. Now, regarding health, there are people who preach at the Church of Moderation. Everything is about moderation. We are not supposed to do bad things to excess. In fact, some people say just don't do anything to excess. There's nothing good that could come from excess. And yet, sometimes we are not so good with moderation, right? We are coming up to a time of gluttony. Nobody even knows the word moderation. I dare you, any of you, to sit at your Thanksgiving table and just whisper moderation, moderation, moderation. I guarantee that you're going to have a pie thrown in your face.
You'll be removed. Yeah.
You will be removed. You will be excised. All right. So, question for everybody. Is moderation possible? Is it a good idea? Are we better off just not going there in the first place and not trying to do bad things in moderation? What is the best way to approach this whole moderation idea?
Jackie, run with it. Go, Jackie.
Okay, so I get really annoyed with the whole concept of moderation. I do.
Thank you.
Okay, but not the word moderation. Moderation is not the enemy. We are our own worst enemy. We cannot blame whatever's on the table. We cannot blame our company or the party we've been invited to. I cannot emphasize enough that you have the absolute control to do all things that you can live with, right? And I was saying this before. You'll never be disappointed in trying your hardest. You will never regret feeling that opportunity of feeling good. That does not mean you cannot indulge or enjoy or do certain things. But when you're on a very specific journey towards a goal that is attainable, you have to, don't blur the lines between the 80-20 rule. And I think that tends to happen where it's like, okay, smaller plate, so I'll fill it with this. But if you're going back for seconds, thirds, and then some, you defeated the purpose of the small plate. It's just true, right? Or it's like, well, I only grabbed a little piece of bread here, and then I only had one little piece of cheese here, and then I didn't have the crust of my pie and I skipped my fruit and I had a glass and a half of wine. Well, you should have at that point really dove right in. So I think that you have to go with a clear mindset of what you're doing is not a punishment. It is one particular meal. It is one day where if you are in the heart of your detox portion, let's say for our program, and this is for anybody who hasn't even done our program or is just trying to make better decisions, be honest with yourself with your decisions. Don't fudge your decision to work for what you want, if that makes any sense.
Understood. Right. If what you really want is you want to pig out, then
Yeah.
don't
Own it.
rationalize it. Do it. Right. Own
Exactly.
it. Don't rationalize it. But what about the larger issue of, are we better off just not engaging at all? Or should we have what we want to have, but in moderation, so it doesn't continue, let's say, to torture us? Trisha, your opinion.
So I think that works. I feel like if
What does?
you,
Moderation?
yeah, moderation in
denial?
that way. If you're going to have something, have it in halves. That for me, it works for me. Because if not, I tend to then be annoyed and angry. And then on the flip side of that, I will go off the rails totally. And then that just, everything I did prior to that, I feel like get,
Undone.
wiped away. So
But can you stop? Can you have just a little bit?
if I do it that way, yes. If I know
Okay,
I'm going
you
to be
can.
able to eat it, then I will, and then move on after it. If I completely say absolutely not, I'm not doing this, and then I'm resentful towards it, the next day will be awful, and probably a few days after that.
Yeah.
Well, Trish, are you aware that the Surgeon General came out and said that pie is a gateway drug? So not everyone can
Oh, wait,
have.
I'm
Like what kind of pie? Like
cherry, okay.
Why do I
if
even
it's cherry,
bother?
then that's fine. I don't eat
I
that.
Okay, yeah.
All these literal people here. Pumpkin pie might be a
Oh.
gateway drug. So
Stop it.
I do agree.
again,
I do agree.
so you can have just a small little wedge, and you're
Yes,
satisfied,
and that would make
and you
me
move
happy.
on.
Yes,
Okay,
that
Jackie
would make me
can-
happy.
Jackie cannot have just the small wedge, because
Nope.
Jackie, what happens if you try to have just the small wedge?
I'll find a way to wedge that whole pie in my face. Just give it to me. No, I have to, and when I actually did the program for the first time, I started 2 weeks prior to Thanksgiving, a little
Wait,
over
hold
2
on.
weeks.
So let's stop for a minute. Are we talking in the
Okay.
context of the program or the context of life at large?
In general, in general.
In general. Okay, got it.
I tend to, not that I spiral out, I can consolidate to a cheat day, but it depends on what it is. So I like food. I won't chips. Okay, I could pass on that. So that's not the end of the world to me. But if, for example, if it's a pumpkin pie or something like that, I'm not even going to bother. Don't give me a slither, just a little bite. That's not enough, because in my mind now that sugar has just flipped my switch.
Mhm.
And now all of a sudden, even if and this has happened many times that I care to admit, I will then go and try something that I don't even really want it.
Right.
I don't want it, but it's like, oh, but I love chocolate brownies, and now I have to eat that. I have to finish eating that. And that's a problem. So for me, that's like the dessert switch. No, I can't.
Got it.
I have to
Okay,
have an
so you're better
alternative
off
for
not doing it at all.
Absolutely.
Okay, Jennifer.
So, what was the question?
Well, I don't recall, honestly. I haven't
like
been paying
pumpkin
attention.
pie.
The question was
Pleasing.
pumpkin pie. Let's
But
go
not pumpkin pie per se. Don't get fixated.
in general.
The question is
So,
about
can you
moderate. Wait. Hold on. I want to make sure you're clear. Okay.
clear?
For you, is moderation a good strategy, or are you better off? What is it that they call with alcohol when it was made illegal? What was the word?
Prohibition?
Prohibition. Or are you better off having a prohibition mindset, just getting rid of it because moderation is a challenge?
So many avenues to go with this.
Go down Fifth Avenue, please.
With the parade,
No, like
Right.
the main thoroughfare.
I am. So personally, for me,
Yeah.
if I'm in my zone, I can handle moderation. So Jackie
Okay.
mentioned brownies, and I would, when I was in my zone and really like where I needed to be and in the right mindset and at the correct weight with great metabolic age, and I could do a quarter of a brownie and walk away.
Hmm.
That doesn't really work these days. So I am, I'm Thanksgiving for 6 years was my one time a year I would eat my all-time favorite, which was mashed potatoes and gravy.
Okay, so you had a cheat day on Thanksgiving. That's reasonable.
Yeah. Now I actually was having nightmares the past few nights about Thanksgiving dinner.
Because you're afraid it's going to sabotage you.
Those freaking mashed potatoes, man.
Yeah. Mashed potatoes are the devil. I'm telling
But
you. That
listen,
and pumpkin pie.
I think you touched on something though. If people are in a really good place, then they have more leeway and they can have the cheat day on Thanksgiving, right? They could save it up. If people are in a bad place, they're more likely to have a bad day on Thanksgiving, but they're probably better off not.
Right. And there were a couple of things that everybody mentioned. So Trisha mentioned getting frustrated. And, that we hear that a lot. We hear that a lot where like people say, I'm being so good and nothing's happening. And just what the heck, I'm going off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're looking at things from a wrong perspective. We're looking at it from weight only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about health before. So, everything in moderation, if it's still toxic to your body, it's still poison. So poison or toxicity in moderation is still poison. So like, I love macadamia nuts, love them. And I've had a few.
Don't love me.
They don't. I've been in it's gone because it's 3 days out of my body now, but I was in such an inflamed state.
Mm-hmm.
I had like 5 macadamia nuts.
Yeah, I love that. I can't have 5. Dr. R and I have this problem. He would buy them and all of a sudden come like you want some, like no. And I'd have to I'd yell. I'd be like, no, get away from me with those macadamia nuts.
Right.
Either give them away or throw them in the garbage, and then dump something unappealing on top of it.
On them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then don't do a George Costanza.
I like Windex. Windex is a good dessert topping, though. So
exactly.
So that moderation thing for me, it's a push button catchphrase. The other thing is, know your limits. And I was thinking of like tools to give people because we can we all have these issues, but the tools are like plate the food in the kitchen. Don't do family style. Don't put it on the table because if you're sitting there talking, it's easy to just grab the mashed potatoes and pick and have just one more spoonful.
Yes. Put it on a plate.
Put it on a plate, plate it up, and bring it like restaurant style rather than family restaurant style. Yep. Like we need tools for survival on days like this, right?
Get away from the table. I mean, when you sit at the table for 3 hours, slowly your willpower tends to wane.
Yeah.
But I want to. I don't know how deep into this I want to get because there's so much to get into. Jennifer mentioned mindset, and mindset is everything. And the other night on our meeting, right? We have a Wednesday night meeting now that is available for people who are on the program, right? It's an invite only. It's not open to the world. And I was telling the story of Warren Buffett. Now, Warren Buffett is the 5th wealthiest guy in the world. He's worth over $100 billion. He made his first billion in his early 50s, right? And that's back when $1 billion was real money, right? Yeah. Not like today. Not like today with inflation.
I mean, I wouldn't.
$1 billion could buy you something back then in the 1980s, right? Now, Warren Buffett is 91. He still drives to work every day. He recently upgraded to a 2014 Cadillac, but he still lives in his house that he bought in the 1950s for $30,000. All right. Warren Buffett.
I wonder if he has a mortgage.
What'd you say?
I wonder if he has a mortgage.
Hey, I don't think he wants the stress of the mortgage. I'm assuming he paid it off. But the point is, at what point, like his income curve went up and up and up, right? He's now worth over 100 billion, but he made his first billion in the 50s. He was worth a few hundred million in his 40s, right? At what point would we have said, okay, I won the lottery, I'm retiring now, and I'm just going to do whatever I want?
I wouldn't though either.
You wouldn't either. Jen?
people who retire, like, what is their purpose then? Like, what,
No.
what are they going to do? Travel the world and drink at every port? Like, you have to have
Well,
something to do. I mean, yes, you can do that, but how much of
Yeah.
that can you do?
I'm like,
after
that's fabulous.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, wait a second. I mean, I absolutely like
It's
John and I
sounds
joke all the
good.
time because I don't even know how to gamble. Like, I'm
Relax.
not
Like,
kidding.
you know,
I
you
can't
gotta.
go buy a lottery ticket.
We're going.
he's-
Trisha and I are going.
My God.
Just saying. And if we
So-
win, you won't get any.
I know, but I'm just like, okay, yeah, count me in. And then John, a couple of times, he's like, "Can you go and pick up?" I'm like, "Okay, text me what I have to say." And I walk up and I'm like, "I need $5." I have no clue. It's no concept. So I
Yeah.
can't be upset if I don't win. But long and short of it, we say this all the time. Oh, if we ever hit, I don't even. First of all, it's astronomical. The winnings, even after taxes.
I
What are you doing
fear
with
we're
it?
getting too far from the point. There's an important point coming here.
No, the important
Point is
point
what?
was you still
I've
have to
never
live your
retired.
life.
You still have to live your life, so you wouldn't. Now we do
No.
all understand that a lot of people would make the money and exchange it for a life of leisure, right? So they're much more results oriented. They're working hard in order to get the paycheck, in order to stave off the tax man and avoid whatever horrible consequences that they have. Meanwhile, this guy does not have to work. He's 91. He still goes to work every day in a jalopy. And I got to tell you, if he ever decides to retire, which I don't think he's going to,
No.
he's going to be replaced by the vice president who's 98 and still goes to work every day, right? The point is they do it for the joy of doing it. They're internally motivated. Most people are motivated by some kind of an external stimuli, but they do it for the process. They love the process. Most of the people who do our program do it because there's a fire that they're trying to put out.
Right.
They're not happy. They're going to an event. Their doctor told them they're going to die. I mean, what have you? They can't fit into their clothes, right? So they're doing it as hostages, right? Warren Buffett is not a hostage. He's a free man because he's motivated by something internal. He's motivated by joy and love of the process. Most of our people on our program are not motivated by the joy of building health. It's the pain of being very overweight. So this, by the way, here comes a shameless plug. This is all part of the new maintenance program guidebook. But the key is if we can go from being outer motivated to inner motivated, if we could find the joy in the actual processes, then there's no conflict anymore. We're not just eating right so we can be lean enough to then eat crap.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not punishment. You said that. It's not punishment. It's a reward to your body so that you could live a better quality of life. Like we look at dieting and weight loss as like a journey as a means to an end, but there is no end in sight.
Right.
Like we have to continue on. It's a never-ending process. Like you don't buy a car and it runs well and you say, "Oh, I just got a car and I never have to do an oil change or a tune-up." Like it's gonna break down. Our bodies are the same. Our bodies are going to break down.
I brushed my teeth last month.
Ugh.
Well, last time you changed the sheets too.
I changed my sheet 6 years ago. Like why do I have to do that again? Right? Yes, the heart of our program is 40 days, right? And most people have another 40 years left.
Right.
But if the mindset is doing it because you have to, then that leads to frustration, that leads to rebellion, resistance, and ultimately, all too often, it leads to gorging on days like Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys ever feel though, when you say people feel like they're not driven from the inside, that this is a good thing? Or is it more or less them facing the fact that they shouldn't be there in the first place? That maybe they're embarrassed to, now it's even harder for me and I shouldn't be here. And they're just harder on themselves because they know they could have done something sooner.
Wait, I don't fully understand. Can you ask that again in a different way?
Sure. So like, I mean, like when Trisha was saying, she's like, I know if I don't eat that small piece of pie or whatever you choose to eat, you're going to be angry and you're going to end up spiraling out. What is it that makes us so angry that you're missing out on that little piece? Like, are you frustrated because you can't indulge the same way as your family member who's thin and able to eat whatever they want? Or are you frustrated because you shouldn't be in this position anyway and you feel like now it's just harder for me and it's a punishment for not doing all the right things thus far, because I feel like that sometimes it's a mental game. You know, like when you sit around, look at everybody's plates, you may be eating something similar. Why is it that because you're not having those mashed potatoes or that stuffing, is it different than your cauliflower mashed potatoes?
In other words, where does the resentment come
Yes.
from?
Like where is it you're mad at yourself? Are you mad at them because they, that envious that they can eat as they choose?
Trish, where would the resentment come from, or where does it come from in those cases where you decide not to have the sinful dessert?
I guess probably for myself, like, I was thinner for most of my life and then gained a lot of weight over the past few years. So maybe, I did eat all that stuff before, like it never had a problem, wouldn't gain anything on any of the holidays, never gained that 8 to 10 pounds over the holiday season. That just wasn't, me. And then I guess the thought of that I used to do it, it's not fair that I can't just do it now. And, I don't know, maybe I think it's just me,
Yeah, this is
being
what
mad at
people rebel
myself.
against, right? They rebel against the injustice of it all. Why can't I?
Right,
Why
like,
can't I
why?
have my
Right.
cake and eat it
It's
too?
only one day. It's not that big of a deal. But then that one day turns into multiple days.
Mhm.
That's why if I don't have it at that moment, I know if it's here, it's getting eaten. That's it. I'm going to go spiral off on the next few days after it.
Mhm.
Farm out the leftovers. So I used to look at the skinny women who were eating an apple for a snack, and I would be resentful. And I would say, what? And then
Why?
why? But then one day after I lost all that weight and I was eating an apple, and all of a sudden I went, I am that skinny woman. Like, right? I became, by changing my habits and changing the things that were feeding my body, I became that woman. And I had the realization that I was comparing people who would sit down at a holiday meal thinking that that's how they were eating all the time. That's not. Like, my mom is a rail. You've met my mom, all of you.
Oh yeah.
She will eat whatever she wants to on the holidays and then rein it right back in. And she's like, her eating style is different. It's like little meals. She does giant salads. She's a vegetable eater. She's not a vegetarian, but she eats a lot of vegetables, and then her protein is like this. And she does eat carbs, which is a whole other issue that we talk about. But she never gets more than like 2 pounds, 3 pounds above her ideal zone. So she was doing our program before our program was a thing, right? She was just but it's her mindset. It's her, she doesn't feel good when she can't button her pants. She doesn't feel good when she can't move the way she wants to. So
Sure.
Well, Jen, this you brought up something interesting. We assume those people who we're jealous of, who we
Right.
secretly hate
right.
and wish terrible things upon, we assume that they can do whatever they want. They have what we want. They have the freedom to
Right.
do everything. They don't have any
And then say the
constraints,
freedom.
and they
Right.
don't have to pay any consequences. They don't have to
And
pay
they
any
don't.
price. We assume that. That is
Yeah.
a faulty assumption. Let me suggest this. A, it's probably a faulty assumption. B, even if it's true, it's likely not true for you. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
True.
And the other thing is, if we look at somebody who's thin and healthy, and we look at them with anger and resentment, we're only bringing in fat and unhealthy for ourselves, because we're not admiring something that
Right.
we want to be. We're resenting what they are. So by resenting, we're actually pushing that away. We should be looking at that and saying, wow, that's what I want. Not like, oh, that skinny, she doesn't get the right. And then when you start changing that around, because that is mindset, you start to do the actions that make you that skinny person eating the apple.
Well,
we
and
have to do
hopefully without resentment. And just to be clear, where the resentment comes from is two opposing desires, right?
Yeah.
I want to be lean and healthy. On the other hand, I want that damn piece of pie.
Yeah.
And they butt into each other. And then
Yeah.
we argue, and then we rationalize, and then there's a tension that we can feel in our stomach and in our chest, and we're salivating. So now we're denying our bodies also, right? So there's all this drama that we build up, and we build it up because we have these two opposing desires. And let me tell you something. You cannot win a war against yourself. Ultimately, you will lose.
No.
The idea is to set it up in a way like Warren Buffett has, where you're not fighting yourself, where you're not at war. You're not at war. And this sounds like a crazy concept to people. I mentioned it the other night, and I could like hear the eyes rolling. But it is possible. It is possible. And there's a conversation that we're going to have again in the future. All right. But in the meantime, Jennifer has something important to say.
I was going to say, let's, we talked a couple of weeks ago about tools for not getting fat and unhealthy over the holidays. So we talked about just picking one thing to indulge in a small bit. We talked about pushing away from the table. You have that article that's really good. We talked about plating the food in the kitchen. How about smaller plates too? Because, nature abhors a vacuum, right? So if we see a big plate, we're going to want to fill it up. And visually, a big plate with a little serving on it doesn't seem like it's enough. So if you get a smaller plate and you put the same amount of food on it, visually, you're actually thinking that you're eating more. And ultimately, when you eat it, it is more because it's enough. Like that serving is enough, right?
Mhm.
Average American plate size has gone from 8 inches to 10 inches, and some are even 12 inches. Like those are serving plates back in the 50s. So, buy smaller plates, or I bought small paper plates because we are actually paper plates this year. So, push away from the table, plate your food in the kitchen.
Perception. I think, and preparation.
Yeah, right.
Or some P word.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I mean, you can't. These holidays come every year, and we know that they're coming. It's a guarantee. No matter what happens in the world, Christmas will come, Hanukkah will come, Thanksgiving will come, Easter, so on and so forth. There will always be a barbecue to attend. There will always be something going on, whether you choose to attend or not. Do not sacrifice your enjoyment and good company because of a meal. So therefore, everyone that I know, no one shows up empty-handed ever. And I'm sure your host won't be insulted if you decide to bring something. Things like this, you're not going to insult your host by bringing something in, whatever it may be. Bring something, even if you're eating prior to going. Bring something that you can nosh on, so you don't feel like, oh gosh, I feel that the turkey is talking to me, and I need that extra gravy, and it's looking at me. It's you really just prepare yourself. I mean, there's nothing wrong with bringing something with you, or enough for everyone, so you don't feel like you're being stared at. Like, oh, what are you eating?
Well, listen, I want to. I mean, these are good tips, but I want to come at it from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
I want to suggest. I want to encourage people to give up one desire or the other, and I'm not even invested in which one. So either give up the desire to eat that which is bad for you, or give up the competing desire, which is to want to stay thin and not. I'm not expressing this correctly.
Wait,
No,
yeah, you got me nervous here. Wait a minute.
Right. In other words,
so can you say we can eat the pie? Like we can eat.
Yeah, is that what you're saying here?
Listen, a person is always
All
free
right,
to
good.
do whatever a person is always free to do whatever they want. From what we were saying before, the challenge is, and the reason for that internal tension is because of those two competing desires. Right? On the one hand, I want to be lean and healthy. And on the other hand, I want to eat the delicious food, right? So I don't care which one that you give up. I don't want you to feel any have to. I don't want you to feel as if anything is enforced upon you. Whatever you do it with a full heart. Be free. That's what I'm saying. Because ultimately, it's the battle itself in the long term, which is the problem. Right. And this is more of a long term. Nothing matters what happens on one day. If you eat the whole damn turkey, I mean, it's one day. Right. But that's what I want to encourage people to do, is to give up that internal struggle in one direction or the other. Yeah.
Play the long game.
Play the long game. Yes.
Long game.
Oh, that's a golf reference.
Yeah.
Jen's
wow.
golf.
Look at me with a sports reference.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, that's going to be it for today. Everyone have a terrific Thanksgiving. Remember, avoid your crazy uncle. Do not sit next to him. Do not take him on either. Do not go crazy, but if you do, own it and enjoy it and be free about it. And make sure that you're here with us next week. Oh, and we didn't even talk about Black Friday except for the very beginning. Black Friday sale, lowest prices ever, giving it all away, all of that
Crazy Eddie.
stuff,
Crazy
right?
Eddie.
Eddie, oh my
All
God.
of that, yeah. Presents, you could buy a gift certificate for loved ones. Do it together, do it as a family, and otherwise have fun.
Jackie, what is that? Give the gift of health?
Give the gift of health. So we have give the gift of health. Can I just recap really quick? So Black Friday, we have raffles, giveaways, lowest prices possible. Jump on it because they are not going to last. That we have a very tight schedule. There's no extensions here. It is what it is. So take it now. Do not wait. If you're not sure, if you're afraid you're busy Friday shopping, you may miss it. Call now. Be placed on the list. We're reserving these now. So it's an absolute must.
2023 is the year that you take it off.
It is.
And the year that you keep it off.
And one more shameless plug. We're also doing Toys for Tots Drive. So for anybody who wants to give unwrapped brand new toys, we're doing for the entire month. So the boxes are out in Cranford and Marlboro. Feel free to drop off when you come in for your weigh-ins.
And you could use it to dump those pies that you didn't eat or only ate half.
No. And
we're not putting that on the children.
It's not a
We'll give
toy.
them apple slices.
Okay, I'm hanging up.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.